Welcome everyone to WoW, You Can Cook. And today you are making Russian beef stroganoff with our amazing chef, Dr. Gloria. Hi, Dr. G.
Hi, and good morning, everybody. It's noon, I guess. Good morning. This is a fun recipe and it's not difficult. So we're not going to make it difficult, hopefully. If I can read it, font is very small. So for those of you that are, can you raise your hands, those of you that are cooking? How many of you are using mushrooms? Most of you. Okay. Just keep in mind that the question was asked about mushrooms and candida. I have mushrooms. I love the big mushrooms, but I only have them 2 or 3 times a year. So if you have it occasionally, it's not going to hurt. It's like anything else that Tracy and I have taught you is that, you know, in moderation, if you're going to make this dish in a legitimate way, which is the authentic way, go ahead and use the mushrooms if you need to. But if you've got candida and you're doing your saliva test and it's showing up over and over, don't eat mushrooms very often because it is a fungus, okay? So now for those of you doing the mushrooms, start with melting your butter. We start out with a total of 3 tablespoons, but you're going to use about 1 tablespoon of butter just to be able to saute those mushrooms, okay? If you feel that you need a little bit more, put a little bit more in. Wait till you see the article and the research I just wrote about butter and how good it is for us and why the French do not have heart disease and high blood pressure and clogged arteries, okay? Neither do the Dutch. Okay, so you're going to saute the mushrooms in the butter, but over medium heat, just about 2 minutes. So put in a tablespoon, a little bit more if you need to, okay?
Nancy has a question.
I'm not doing mushrooms and I just started melting my butter, so.
Oh, you're
okay,
not doing
well then,
mushrooms.
Yeah, then if you're not doing mushrooms, take your pan off the stove for a minute. Let me work with them on mushrooms.
Okay.
Okay, so then you're going to do it about 2 minutes. You do not want to overcook mushrooms because they will get tough. They'll get like shoe leather. Okay, so once the mushrooms are getting soft, about 2 minutes, you don't want more than that. Then take them out of the pan and set them aside. Then we can start, Nancy, with you, for instance, not doing the mushrooms. Okay, so when the 2 minutes are done, keep stirring them and don't let them get too brown. It's about 2 minutes. Then you're going to add the other tablespoons, 2 tablespoons of butter. So the recipe says 3 tablespoons. You used 1 for the mushrooms and the other 2 you're going to put in the pan that you did the mushrooms in, but you've removed the mushrooms by now. Linda, I believe, asked a very good question. She said, what is a shallot? A shallot is basically a combination of an onion and garlic flavor. And some of them are really big. Mine were very big last time. Sometimes they're not. So if they're real big, just adjust your recipe.
Okay.
If you like a lot of garlic and onion like I do, I don't care. I just put it all in. But you would use the shallots that you're going to put in. It's about 3 large ones. That's what Linda LC was asking because hers were really huge. So just figure about what I would say, I don't know, what 3 large cloves of garlic would be, maybe, Linda, or a little bit more if you like that flavor. Just adjust it. Yeah, good. So if you're taking, put your thumbs up if you've taken your mushrooms out already and set them aside. And okay, and you're going to add 2 tablespoons now, the remaining 2 of butter into your skillet. You're going to add the shallots. You got them all chopped up. I'm waiting because I see somebody not finished yet. So remember, you're sauteing them. Scrape any bottom nice crispies that you got maybe from sauteing the mushrooms. Scrape that. Don't get rid of it. It gets good flavor. Just scrape it and go ahead and use your same pan and saute those the shallots. So, you know, again, 1 or 2 minutes. You don't want them over browned, but like an onion. You're not going to necessarily get a shallot as brown on the tips like I always tell you to do on regular onions. You don't need to on shallots. They release their flavor the minute that you start cooking them. Can any of you smell the difference? Doesn't it smell like an onion and a garlic for those of you that maybe haven't used shallots a lot? Linda, Elsie, can you smell that? Do you have an aroma that's different than onions? Yes, okay, good, thank you. Now, hopefully you've got your, the steak all cut up. You can go ahead and put that thin cut steak that is tenderized in a plastic bag.
You guys, please let her know if you need to get caught up to her directions, all right?
Magda, you're,
Magda,
I think Magda said you're too fast.
okay.
that's
And-
probably
and
what she
Linda's
said.
right there.
See, I feel like when I'm in the kitchen, I can pace you better.
Oh, right, right. You can be the lead car.
Yeah, I'll
Or
go
what do they
slower,
call
but
it?
when you get done with something, like when you take the mushrooms out and you're gonna start sauteing the shallots, put your finger up or something, some way. Yeah, okay, Nancy, Elsie's got her meat in the plastic bag. Okay, you've got it, Jill. Magna, do you have your shallots in there? And-
I have.
Say that again.
Yes, my shallots are cooking.
Okay, Nancy G, your shallots are cooking? Okay, good. So everybody's caught up. Jill R is the only one I haven't heard from. Okay, good. Sandy, are you cooking, hon?
Yes,
Yes. Are you doing your shallots?
yes.
Okay, good. So we're okay. We're caught up. Okay, so remember that then you're in that plastic bag, you're going to put all of your meat that's been cut up and tenderized with all of your spices. So with the black and white pepper, now remember, white pepper is spicy. So make it as spicy as you like it. It's just think of it as adding cayenne pepper because that's how hot it gets. So if I know Tracy's loving this, I can see it on her face. Put as much as you would like in spiciness. I like a little spiciness in my dishes that are a combination. I don't necessarily like it when it's one thing, like just meat by itself. But go ahead and add your black and white pepper. Remember, black pepper is just for flavor. White pepper is for heat. And so that is really according to your taste. Now in that plastic bag, you should have the beef chunks with all-purpose flour, which is about 2 to 3 tablespoons, depending on the amount of meat. I don't usually cook as much as in the recipe, so 2 tablespoons is enough for me. If you're cooking a larger piece, then go ahead and, I said 1 pound of steak. I usually do a half a pound at a time. So put everything together with your flour, your black and white pepper, and then add those now to the saute pan along with the shallots and keep stirring. You're browning the meat after you've tossed it all together. Doesn't take long. Give it a quick toss. You saw how Tracy tosses. She really goes for it, like that high energy girl. Yeah. So just do the tossing and then throw it into the, we're getting a good laugh from Jorgen, Tracy. So just go ahead and do that shaking there, shake and bake. Okay, so thumbs up when you're done with that.
Linda
Okay.
and Jill. And
Okay. Nancy, are you browning your meat?
thumbs up. Look for Nancy.
And it's about 3 minutes. You know when meat is cooked. If it's thin and it's pounded or tenderized, it shouldn't take long. You're not cooking a big, thick pork chops or a steak.
Looks like Linda has a
question.
question.
Do we need
Go
to
ahead,
add
Linda.
any more butter?
You can if it's getting too dry. That's up to you because you probably have more meat than I use. So if it's getting too dry, add some butter. If it's sticking to the pan, yes. Do you have a pound of meat, Linda?
Yes.
Linda, Elsie? Okay,
Yes.
so you need a
Angeline.
little more butter probably. Oh, there's Lori.
There's
Okay.
Lori
Hi,
and
everybody.
Evangeline.
I just
Okay,
got back
so
from a
are you-
conference.
Okay, are you ladies cooking or should we keep going? Because we're already in the middle.
No, I'm just gonna watch.
Oh, okay. All right. So we're just waiting for Jill to tell me. We're doing thumbs up when you've done the next step, so I don't go too fast. Sandy, how are you, hon? Are you browning the meat?
Yes.
Wait a minute. Oh, she says like that. That's good. That's wait a minute. Give me a thumbs up, Sandy.
I'm browning the meat. It's a little slow because of high altitude, but I'm browning the meat.
Okay. What do you have it on high, Jill, or on medium
Yeah,
high?
I have it pretty high so that it'll get nice and brown, and I had to add more butter like Lori. I think it was
Okay, fair.
or Nancy. I can't remember who.
Linda's the one that had to add more. Yeah.
We're getting
Okay,
to
so
know each
just
other's face.
exactly. Remember, keep scraping the bottom of the pan. Don't let it stick. And then just keep stirring it. You don't want it really brown. You don't want it like, you know, crispy on the edges. Nancy, are you up with us? Yep. Thumbs up if you're up with us. Okay.
Evangeline, if you can hear me, can you join us on video?
My video seems not to be working.
Because I'm not seeing it in the, options
I don't see
to
it either.
open.
Yeah, I for some reason my camera stopped working.
Uh-oh.
Okay, everybody's caught up with me. Thumbs up. You're browning your beef. It should only be 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, thumbs up, everybody. Okay, perfect. Now take your beef broth, and that would be just about. It depends on what you're using. If you're using using the concentrate, you would probably add about a half a cup of water to it. That's why it's not specific in here. If you're using a ready-made broth, half a cup to 3/4 of a cup, depending on how juicy you want your stroganoff.
Okay.
I like a lot of juice. I'm saucy, remember? Don't you laugh, Tracy. I'm saucy. I like a little food with my sauce. So I always make extra. Yeah, she's shaking her head. Yes. Yeah. Thanks a lot, buddy. So go ahead and add more if you want, but just make sure that it's a nice, rich consistency. For those of you that purchase the Zoop, Z-O-U-P, Z like in zebra, that I love, is the concentrate. You get about, I don't remember what I said when I showed you the jar, but wasn't it like 30 servings or something? So you dilute that in water. If you've got regular broth that's already made, just use it like it is. It's just not going to be as dense of a flavor. Remember that. That's why I like the Zoop. So you've got your beef broth. So whatever amount, up to about a half a cup to a cup, depending on what you want. Now to that beef broth, add your mustard powder. You've got about a half a teaspoon or 1 tablespoon if it's ground mustard seed, or 1 tablespoon if it's the ground mustard. So whatever mustard you decided to use is fine. For this dish, I usually use the ground mustard, but you can use the other. Nancy?
Unmute. Or, well.
Unmute.
I put the
Sign
ground
language.
mustard with the other. Can I dump it all in, or?
You can dump it all in, dear. Yes. If you've got your broth in there, dump it all in. Because you're going to go ahead and add the broth, the mustard, whichever kind you used, and the annatto. I have a cute story to tell you about annatto powder from Magda. And you add that to the saute pan, and now make sure that you have the mushrooms in there, the ones that you browned. Throw the mushrooms back in. Keep scraping the bottom of the pan so you get that good flavor of all that browning that occurs with the what?
Flour?
Oh, I thought Linda said something. Well, yeah, with the flour and with the spices, you get those little chunks at the bottom. There's a name for them, but I'm going blank. You're going to simmer all that for 10. You're going to simmer all that for about 10, 10 to 15 minutes until the beef is cooked. Because you're not going to add the sour cream or the Greek yogurt, which is about a half a cup of sour cream or Greek yogurt, until a little later. Let the meat cook a little bit, and then we'll add that. Okay? So the only thing that we're missing is adding that sour cream, because you've got all of your other spices. You can add fresh parsley at the end of the cooking or when you serve it. I like it at the very end. I don't know if any of you are aware that when you use cilantro, for instance, or parsley, if you put it in at the last 5 minutes of cooking, it retains all of its nutritional value and all of its supplemental value. So like cilantro is good for heavy metal detoxing, but if you put it in the beginning of cooking a dish, you've lost the nutrition, the medicinal value, you just have the flavor. Okay, so the last 5 minutes or so is when you hurry up and whip it in and then serve it and maybe put some more on top as a garnish. You've got to add the vodka. So do all of you have some vodka, Magda?
Magda?
Should we put a lid on it while it's simmering or not?
No, not right now. No,
Okay.
just keep stirring it.
Okay.
Okay. And after we add the cream, sour cream or yogurt is when we'll add the vodka. You want the vodka last. And remember that anything with alcohol will not have an alcohol base. All the alcohol is evaporated after you heat it. So you'll add that at the end. And did you all see my note about being aware of how what vodka is made from if you're avoiding nightshades?
Potato.
Remember that most of it is made from potatoes. That's right. But if you always ask or find out, research what vodka is made from. That's where I use Tito's, and I have nothing to do with these companies, or Grey Goose. And it's bartender friends of mine that told me what I could have when I was on a cruise lecturing, and I wanted a drink with vodka, and I was afraid to because of the potato starch. He said, "Oh, no, you can have this one. Yeah, you can have Tito's, and you can have a Ciroc, I think, is also another one, and Grey Goose." It tells you how much I drink. Last drink what do you have? Okay.
Smirnoffs and.
Okay, but that is if it's Smirnoff, it's probably made. I can't tell what it is. It's probably made from potatoes.
Fleischmann's was another one. Fleischmann's.
Which one?
Fleischmann's with the F.
Oh,
Fleischmann's.
I don't know about that one. Okay,
I went online to look up which ones, and
Yeah.
it was one of them. So
thank you.
And
That's a
Dr.
good share,
Gloria,
Jill.
I also
Yes.
was studying how long it takes for the alcohol content to cook out. And because I'm going to be sharing my dish with someone that used to have a drinking problem, I decided not to go ahead and do the vodka, but I bought a ginger beer because they're non-alcoholic, and I've let it
perfect.
to go flat. And so we'll see how
Good.
it.
Let me know. That'll be great.
Yeah.
Let us all know. That'll be a good share. Okay, so what I'm doing is talking and giving you some information and sharing while you're cooking your meat. So if your meat is basically cooked, can you give me your thumbs up? Then you're going to add your cream. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Linda, how are you, hon? Okay. Nancy, Sandy, thumbs up. Okay. Okay, good. Everybody's thumbs up. That's a good way to do it, right?
Yes.
I think, Linda, don't you, Tracy? Either give me a minute or thumbs up.
Right.
Good way to do it. Okay, now add your cream.
I have a quick
Lori?
question, Dr. Gloria. How do you know, because I'm not cooking, how do you know that the beef is cooked? Do you want it to still have a pink tone to it, like a medium rare?
No.
All done.
No, it should not have a pink tone. It should all the pink should be gone. And because you use a thin sliced tenderized meat for a stroganoff, it doesn't take very long.
Right.
As long as all the pink is gone. No, it's not like a steak, medium, medium rare, medium well. You want a thin steak like that to no longer have pink, but you don't want it tough either. That's why it's about 10 minutes, depending on your stove and, like with Jill, with the altitude, okay?
Nancy
so
has
did
a
you all add
question.
No,
Yeah.
I was just going to add, I did sirloin and got it really tenderized, but it was for the original recipe we did. So I had it frozen. So that's what I used. And it was really
That's okay.
thin. But it was
That's
it was
perfect.
sirloin, hot sirloin. and
It's
it was
fine.
great.
It's fine. Not a problem. Okay, so thumbs up, everybody who has added the cream. I see Linda's adding it.
Cream, cream.
Okay, Sandy, Magda. Jill's taking a little longer because she's at high altitude. So Jill,
Right.
you're okay. All right. Now stir all that in. You're not really cooking the meat now. It's already cooked. Okay. And make sure that you keep stirring so that that cream is totally blended. When it's totally blended, you don't see any spots without it, you add your vodka. And this is when you would add some parsley, or if you were cooking with cilantro, this is when you would add it. And one of you, while you're doing that, one of you mentioned that you made homemade noodles, which was great. I don't remember who it was. Okay.
Is that Jill?
Jill. Okay. How did they come out?
They came out just great. So I made them homemade gluten-free. And I've got some cooking on the stove right now.
Okay. Wonderful.
You need to share that recipe, because if it was easy, I want the
It
recipe.
Homemade
was,
gluten-free.
I haven't
guys, it was as simple as 2 cups of flour, 3 eggs, and an extra egg yolk. That's it.
That's it?
Rolled them out, and they were great. So yeah, I'll share the recipe. But
And you
that's
can
it.
slice
so
them
that-
as wide as you want for the wide noodle.
Yes.
Yeah, so that, yeah, because
Excellent.
I have not succeeded in finding a good gluten-free flat noodle. So I use whatever noodles I have. I've even used macaroni because that's all I had that was gluten-free. So, you know, and the flatter rice noodles, you know, I've used whatever is available because you can't always get those. So she'll share that recipe. That's great. The other thing that I wanted to share with you while you're finishing, everybody doing okay? Is it getting thick? Is it getting nice and creamy? Okay, good.
Yes.
The other thing I wanted to add was I had a great conversation with one of you that they couldn't find the annatto powder.
Yeah.
Now, have you added the annatto? Have you added the annatto yet? Because in the annatto, you should be adding about 1 teaspoon, 1 to 2. Have you added it yet?
Yes.
Okay, you put it in. I usually put it in with the broth. Okay, just make sure that it's in there one way or another. But when you look for annatto, the easiest way is to get it from Amazon, I think. But we have a lot of Mexican markets. I'm in Texas, and they hang on walls of spices that the Mexican people use. And I pay $1.49 a little cellophane bag. So I mentioned to this particular member that I always buy 12 at a time. And it's like, what? I said, yeah, but it's imported. I want you to listen to this, because I have a friend who's a grocer that imports things here. And he said, stock up, Dr. G, because annatto is imported. And when all the imports stop, or they get, you know, like right now, we're even having trouble with supplements and homeopathics for the raw materials. So I literally buy 12 little bags, and then I put them into a canister. So, because I use a lot of it to replace tomato. So our member said, oh yeah, I found it for $1.49 too. Now I know where to look. And if that member wants to speak up, you can. I just don't want to identify you unless you want to be.
Yeah, I found it. Yay. And I also put it in a little jar. It's amazing. Thank you, Dr. G.
Perfect.
I find
You're
it
welcome.
in
And it's-
Albertsons, just so you know, I find it at Albertsons. It's like at the end of the aisles towards the meat counter.
Produce.
But they've got all
Is
those
it in
chili-
cellophane bags? Is
It is,
in the
and
little
it's
cellophane
actually
bags?
it's actually the seeds, and so I had to grind it, but I bought a couple packs too.
Yeah, I don't like grinding any more than I have to. I cook so much, but you can do that. But just look, like, you know how they have an Asian section in a market, or they'll have an East Indian section. Look at the Mexican section, but especially if you can get to a Mexican market, or mercado, they call them. Here they call them mercados. They have, honest to God, they must have 60 or 70 spices.
Yeah.
Everything you can imagine in these little right, Magda? And so she and Magda and her husband went out and found a Mexican market and bought a bunch of them. So you can, they're not expensive, right? Didn't you pay $1.49 a bag? That's what I pay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you should be ready Oh, good. Look at Linda going there. Is it nice and thick, Linda? Can you show it to
Yeah,
us?
it was real thick, but, and I went ahead and added the vodka. Do I turn the heat off? When I add the
No,
vodka?
let it cook just a little. Let it cook just a little. It's hard to see.
Nice and
I can see it, but it's okay. Yeah, nice and thick. There's Magda's. Is it
That's
thick, Magda?
beautiful.
It looks like it.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so if it gets too thick, add a little bit more broth. Don't add more vodka. Add more broth.
No, it's nice and saucy, not too thick.
Okay, so I have a question for Jill. Would you unmute for a minute?
Yes.
This is great sharing. When you did your research, I'm curious, how long did it say that you should cook the liquor if you're feeding it to a recovering alcoholic?
It was much more than like 10 minutes. At 10 minutes, it was still like at 70 or 80%. It's a long time. And so, you know, just as a consideration, I just recommend everybody that might be cooking for somebody that's had an alcohol problem
Right.
to change that up and cook it. I mean, like I said, I tried ginger beer and I'll tell you how it tastes here shortly.
Okay, let us know. But that's a good share, because you do have people that you cook for that have an issue with drinking, and you don't want to do anything that could compromise their rehabilitation or their, you know, wanting to stay away from alcohol. I was told when I was doing my PhD that it took 17 minutes. I find it interesting as 17. 17 minutes of cooking, and the alcohol would be completely neutralized, is the word we used. Okay, but she's right. It's more than 5 or 10 minutes. It's 17 minutes. Keep in mind that once it's reheated, it's even less alcohol if you cook it today and you eat it tomorrow. But to be sure, I just would watch it like Jill did. That's really good safety measures. Okay, somebody have a question? Okay, thumbs up. Did everybody's get thick?
Nancy has a
Did it
question.
get thick?
Am I in?
Oh, okay, Nancy.
I just wanted
Yes.
to ask, mine's a little thin as far as everything in it. So if I wanted to add stuff down the line to it, like maybe the mushrooms or, and just,
You can add the mushrooms, but if yours is thin and everybody else's is thick, that changes depending on the amount of meat. What you would do is take some more broth, dissolve, cold broth, dissolve some more flour in it, and then just add it and let it bubble until it thickens.
it's not that it's thin, it's thick, but it's just not got a lot of stuff in it. You know, a lot of meat or a lot of onions. It just seems kind of, so I was thinking of adding, like maybe cooking some more onions or
You could add more onions. You could add some celery. What were you saying, Magna?
More mushrooms, maybe?
Yeah, you could add mushrooms because that adds to it. But I've also added, and I know this is totally against their protocol with the true Russian dish, but you can also add like peas, like you do into a stew, and that helps thicken them. But what I do if I have to add peas is I put them in my little food processor. You know, Tracy, like that little one you have that we both use. I put it in there and make a mush and then put it in and thicken it with that. Yeah. So just get creative with whatever, like I love peas. So you can use peas, or many times I just dissolve more flour in and more broth and put some in if I need it thicker. And if I need more consistency, you wouldn't want to put carrots because carrots doesn't go with Stroganoff. It really doesn't. I think that's something to do with, it doesn't. Linda shaking her head. It doesn't go with it. Yes.
So in regard to the annatto powder, if a recipe calls for paprika powder, can you use annatto instead, or should you use it instead? Is it better?
Okay, I didn't understand that. If the recipe calls for what?
For paprika powder.
Yes, you can use, if another recipe calls for paprika, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes, you can use annatto. Just remember that it's not going to be the same proportion, so start slow.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You probably have to use a little more annatto than you do paprika, but it's a good substitute for paprika and especially for tomatoes, or that tomato flavor. Okay. That's what the annatto does. It gives it a very deep, earthy flavor. How is it, Jill? Did you taste it yet?
I
Unmute.
I did, and it tastes really good. Even with the ginger beer, it gives it just that hint of ginger. It's interesting. So it's yummy.
Wow, that's a new one on us.
Can't really
Okay,
take much
so
for you to see, but it's got my
yeah,
noodles.
no, it's okay. Great with noodles. So
Excellent.
what I want all of you to do is take, eat it or taste it when you cooked it today, and then taste it again tomorrow, and you're going to see the difference.
Yeah.
Because as it marinates with the beer, with the vodka, I'm thinking beer. I'm looking at Linda with St. Patrick's Day behind her.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You could
We'll just say I'm in a
actually,
green
you could
carpet.
actually, you can actually use beer in this as well. It's a whole different flavor, but you would have to
Yes.
use a dark stout, and it does give it a
yummy.
different flavor.
Mm.
Yeah, yummy. It's very
Magda?
good with
Yeah.
a dark stout.
So I
Go
have
ahead,
another.
Magda.
It's a little bit, if I like it a little bit saltier, should I add a little liquid amino Bragg's?
Yes,
amino?
yes,
Okay.
yes, absolutely. And then, but add it slowly. That
Yeah.
bottle has a little squirt top, so just squirt a little bit, maybe a teaspoon at a time. Stir
Okay.
it well, and then taste it, because it is very salty. Yeah,
Why would
Absolutely.
she add the aminos instead of salt?
because aminos gives a dish that has a gravy a deeper flavor, especially when it's a brown gravy, not
Richer.
necessarily a white gravy. A
richer
richer, yeah,
flavor.
deep flavor.
I wish I had
Uh-huh.
done the Braggs. I added salt because I knew that
Yeah.
it needed a little salt. I made mine last night,
Yep.
and I did do the peas, but I didn't.
Oh,
I
did you?
put them in whole so that it was a one dish meal. So the
Right,
vegetable
and how
and
was the
sauce.
flavor overall? At the end?
Excellent.
How was the flavor?
Excellent.
Excellent. It'll be
Excellent.
better today.
I'll have.
I know.
If there
Tracy's
was
probably
any
tired of
left.
me saying that. It's like, cook it the day before you're gonna eat it. Okay.
Well, I need to start
So
making
is
my own
everybody-
noodles.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Jill to give us the recipe because I just couldn't find any. I tried 2 or 3 and they were awful. And I just didn't make my own noodles for that reason. Okay, anybody have any questions? Open it up for questions. Did you enjoy making that?
Nancy?
My question is on the aminos. My Bragg's, the regular ones were old, and so I dumped it, but I bought the coconut aminos that Tracy said she uses because she didn't like the others, but would I want to put that in it for more salt?
No, no. Coconut aminos has a completely different flavor
sweet.
than the Bragg's. It's sweet, completely different. And you don't want to add sweet. You just added the savory with the vodka. So no, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would either
You're-
add salt or I would go ahead and use the aminos, the
Okay.
Bragg's, the soy, not the sweet. Yeah,
That's
the
great.
coconut
That's
aminos are
great.
great, but not when you don't want a sweet flavor. Jill?
So the recipe that I found, just to give credit where it came from, it's Iowa Girl Eats. Iowa, the state of Iowa. Girl,
Uh-huh.
but I'll send that to
Eats.
Tracy so she has that PDF.
And
Great, and
Jurgen
that
had
is the,
oops.
tell
That's
everybody
the-
what you made, the
The
people that came in later.
The gluten-free egg noodles, which was simply 3 large eggs plus 1 additional egg yolk. And you mix the eggs, and it called for a teaspoon of salt. I didn't use a teaspoon, I used a half. And then you used 1 to 2 tablespoons of water. You start with 1 tablespoon, and that's all I used. I did not have to add any additional water. So you stirred up with all of that, and then you put your 2 cups of gluten-free flour into a large bowl, and you poured that egg mixture into it, and you worked it through with a fork until you could still have a little bit of crumblies, but all you did was work it through, and then you ended up being able to roll 2 balls, and then you rolled each ball out. You can even freeze them flat. So I thought that
And
was
then you cut them after you
Yep, I
rolled them
cut 'em.
flat. You just cut
Yep.
them. Okay.
You're right. So I cut
Okay.
them real thin. Thank you, Dr. G.
Yeah, that's great. And thank you for sharing that because I had not found a recipe that I was happy with. So I will definitely make those and let you know. Okay, questions. Just open it up for questions, Linda. So that they can...
Jurgen
there.
had his little mechanical hand up for a while, his
Oh,
digital
okay.
hand.
Can you
Jurgen?
find us? a substitute for vodka if you don't drink alcohol. Jill say something about a ginger beer, but do you have any?
Yes, Jill used, what did you use, ginger beer?
I
Ginger beer.
used ginger beer, just that same amount, instead of the vodka, I used the very same amount of the ginger beer. And it just gave it a really different taste because I've made beef stroganoff before. Very delicious, actually. I'm liking it.
Actually, there you go, ginger beer, Jorgen.
It's a great gravy. Jurgen, would you try the gravy with a different substitute for the sirloin?
I have sent my dish to Tracy because I made it yesterday, but the only one I couldn't find a substitute for was with vodka, so I didn't use it. But the ginger beer could
That's
be
okay. Yeah, ginger beer could be a good one. So if you make it again, Jorgen, let us know how you
Yes,
like it with the ginger beer, because Jill made it and she said it's good. So that's great. Okay, any
don't
other
forget to-
comments or questions?
Don't forget to take pictures of your dishes
Yes.
for
Oh, yes,
for
yes.
posterity.
For posterity. And Tracy, do you have up what our dish is next week? I had it up and I can't pull it up now on the other computer.
Yes, I do. It
What
is
is that, dear?
called sticky pomegranate Asian chicken.
Oh,
Yeah.
Really good.
It's on the website tomorrow.
yes.
It's
Yay.
actually today.
I
Oh,
saw
on the
the-
website, it's actually on, yeah, it's on today.
Mhm.
The POM, POM that I buy I just buy the small bottle because it's pricey. You don't want a big bottle of it because you have to use it up. So just buy the small, I think it's an 8-ounce bottle of POM,
Yeah.
pure pomegranate juice, no sugar added, nothing. And it's amazing. It really is sticky. It's like the best sticky chicken in an Asian restaurant. It's very good and a very unique flavor because of the pomegranate. So
Can you
any
use
questions
fresh
or comments? Pardon?
Lori had her hand up.
Can you use fresh pomegranate? I have a lot of frozen from this last season. Of
Absolutely.
pomegranate seeds, but I have to make it
Yeah,
into a
just use it.
juice.
Yeah, you're going to have to grind it. Going to have
So
to
do
blend
you-
it.
Do you just you don't squeeze it then? You can leave all the little seeds in there?
You can leave all the little areas.
hard part.
You can leave them all.
Okay.
Yeah. The hard part of the areas. Yes. Like little seeds, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
I
Yeah, the
swallow- I
seeds are
love 'em.
areas and you can just grind them. Yeah,
Okay.
and you can. I can't chew them because of my jaw thing, but yes, they're very tasty. Absolutely. You can do that, but remember you're going to have to add water or something else to get it to the consistency of a juice. Because the
Okay.
juice is pure, whipped in a high-speed blender like a Vitamix. Okay? Or
Okay.
a Blendtec, something that's a high speed. Okay. Questions? Comments? Put your thumbs up or your hand up so Linda can. Any questions or comments? Did you like the recipe?
Yes.
Is it tasty?
Yes.
Oh, yes, okay. And I love the sharing that Jill did. And Sandy, I'm so glad you cooked. Give me a comment. You haven't said anything.
Oh,
How is it?
She's been
I
quiet.
just ate some and it's very, very good.
Good. What are you going
Yay.
to put it over, dear? You're going to put it over noodles?
Yeah, I've got some noodles cooked. I
Perfect.
didn't
good,
know which
good,
ones,
okay.
I didn't know which ones to use, so I just used what I had.
There you go.
That's what I do. That's the way to go. Thank you. Tracy?
I need to
You're
make
gonna
a
ha-
note for Lori. Okay, so I just looked up palm juice. There's no water in it. It's purely 100% pomegranate juice. So if I was the one who was taking the little seeds and making it into juice, I would probably put it in the blender and get it all emulsified, and then I would strain it in a really fine sieve.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was thinking. Okay, good.
Yeah,
No water
that's
added.
good,
Yeah.
Tracy. Now, when I
Thank
did it
you.
in a blender, it didn't work. But when I did it in my Vitamix, it did. So it just depends on the high speed, I guess, on,
Yeah,
on how much
And the
it's going to
blade,
be
how
able to
sharp the blade
emulsify.
is and everything.
Right,
Right.
right, right. Yeah,
You're
but
gonna
thanks,
have another
Tracy. That's a
question?
great, yeah, because I didn't
just
think
a
about
comment.
straining it.
Just a comment. Thank
Yes.
you, Dr. For facilitating together with Tracy and Linda and all you beautiful ladies in the kitchen. Thank you. It's amazing to watch you cooking.
We're glad
Thank
you're
you.
here.
Yeah, we're glad you're here. You're our cheerleader here. Did you enjoy it, Jorgen?
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay. We got a good smile a few times out of you there, so that was great. Thank you. Okay, I think we are done. Any questions or comments or anything you want to share about something we've cooked or comments about the show? Lori?
I think I already told you that I remade the chicken that was what was it? The breaded chicken that we made, remember?
The chicken fried steak.
No, it was steak. It was chicken fried steak. I'm mixing it up. I'm dyslexic. Anyway, I did it and it worked really well. And I had left it in the refrigerator like almost, I think, several days before I had time. But it was good. It was really good. So
good.
I just wanted to
Good.
share
Thank you for reporting that.
And the
I think
crust
it's
stayed
funny
on
that
the
you got
meat.
confused.
The chicken
The crust
fried
stayed
steak,
on?
I was doing the fried chicken. Oh, I did use the rest of the batter on chicken. I had some,
Okay,
so I made some fried chicken.
good.
Some
You
southern
too.
fried chicken.
I have to say it's funny that Lori got confused when she said chicken because Tracy, you made the comment about how you said chicken fried steak to your husband and he doesn't like chicken. He didn't realize it was beef, right?
Oh,
Did you
yeah.
ever make it for him?
No, not yet. It's been hectic. I've been
Not yet?
making a lot of other things, so. But it's
But
on
that
my
was
list.
good because it's on her list. Because when she said chicken fried steak, he said, "Oh no, he doesn't like chicken." She said, "No, it's not chicken. It's beef."
It is confusing.
Magda, did you have a
Magda had a question,
No, I don't have a question.
a
I just have a
comment.
comment.
No.
The last two dishes, well, the first two dishes that we made, I have a very sensitive stomach, and I just wanted to let you know that after eating these two dishes, I had no issues. It was wonderful. So I'm really looking forward to this dish. So thank you.
Wow, great. Thank you. Thank you.
So
Thank you. That's nice. I need the
that-
shares. Yeah, one more.
That must tell you that maybe you have a nightshade sensitivity, you know, and I just want to say one more thing really quick to you guys here. You know, this blood type diet thing, I commented yesterday and I'm done commenting because I'm not going to debate anybody in the chatty chat. But I do want to say that it is not it's a theory that somebody came up with. Just like every other theory, it's not set in stone. You need to check in with your own body and see what works for you. Because I'm sure Dr. Gloria has patients that are O that can't handle nightshades. And she probably has O that can't handle meat. So we are all so
That's right.
individual. And so I just want to say that there's no one size fits all ever, anywhere, for nothing. So just always check in with your, okay?
Well, and that's a great comment, Tracy. And one of my patients, when I mentioned that, said, you know, I guess it's kind of like you wear a size 10 dress, but if you go to 10 different places and you try on a 10, it doesn't all fit. Because they're all made by somebody else. I thought that was a great example. Shoes are the same way. I wear a 9.5, but I can go to 10 shoe stores and the 9.5 doesn't fit. I end up with a 10 or a 9 or whatever. So that's a good example. But yeah, I agree with Tracy. You can't go by that. I mean, you have to go by what happens. I am having trouble right now digesting, and I know it's stress, digesting my organic pork. I buy it ground because I can't chew the steak. And I know who I buy it from, and nothing has changed, and I can't digest it. It sits in my stomach, and I get a terrible stomach ache. So I decided my body, as Tracy said, I'm checking in. I have no trouble with the organic beef or chicken, but I can't handle the pork anymore. And I loved it. I make my own sausage in the morning. And if any of you want to know how to make your own pork sausage, I'll give you the quick recipe at one of the classes. But I can't handle it anymore. So my body is saying no right now. So listen, tune into your body and listen to that inner voice. It'll never, ever lie to you. Body talk never lies. Remember that. If you learn to interpret the messages. Okay? Okay.
Wait,
Are we
Linda,
done?
or
Everybody
Nancy
okay?
has another question.
two more questions. Nancy, then Lori.
Tracy, I just wanted to add, I had that book and you were dead on right, because when you said it referenced canola oil, I got rid of the book. But I also
So did I.
I listened to you guys, but I also did recently, it was really interesting. And Dr. Gloria, you're probably familiar. I did a DNA test for my nutrition from my DNA that I was born with. And that was really
Yeah.
interesting. It came out with actually a 100-page report, this company I use.
Wow.
And I got a special for
Yep.
$90. So, but yeah, it references
And
like
Nancy, those tests are valuable, but they're valuable more for people that have a family history of a lot of cancer, for instance. A lot of Alzheimer's. Yeah, I knew that. Parkinson's, some kind of a degenerative disease that they have that they may have that gene for. But I don't find it
I don't
healthy
believe in that.
to go by that for your food, because let's say you're in Europe or somebody's in Singapore and I'm in South America, the way the food is grown, what's used to grow it, even if it's organic, the soil changes all of that. So your DNA is your DNA, but it's not what your body is able to tolerate at the moment. Does that make sense?
Okay, I want to add to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here's another thing to consider. There is a whole science called epigenetics or gene expression. And I interviewed a guy on my podcast years ago who took my 23andMe DNA, like all that testing, and he did an epigenetics report based on my DNA. And there's ways that we can turn on and off our gene switches. So just because you have DNA saying one thing, you don't have to turn on that switch if you have a healthy lifestyle. Both of my parents were very
That's right.
sick for a very long time, for as long as I can remember, but I chose a different path. So you're not stuck with what your genes say. And that is something that's not mentioned very often, is that epigenetics. So you can look it up. And
You're so right. Yes.
Mhm.
It's very
Absolutely.
valuable. Thank you for that. I forget about that. I had it done years ago too, but I completely forget. It's not something I do very often. I don't do it, but I mean that I had done. So thank you, Tracy. You're right. You don't have to accept it. It's like you don't have to accept a diagnosis. You don't have something, right, Tracy? You don't have something. You unfortunately have had this bestowed upon you, but you know how to reverse it or how to overcome it.
well, I would
So
say
don't accept the.
so it's the language. Like I would never say my disease, my this.
Right.
I would just say the,
Right.
because you don't want to make it part of you. Nancy,
Right.
go ahead. I see your hand was up again, and then Lori, go ahead.
Yeah.
Nancy, what's up?
I just wanted to add, this company, what it is to help you supplement what you're born with, your DNA. It gives you recommendations, but, and of course they do the nutrition, but it's not, it's just get rid of all these different supplements we have all over the house, which I do.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you for sharing that.
Well,
Okay,
and
we've
on
got
top of
Jorgen
that,
again, but Lori was.
yeah, Lori's next, but Nancy, on top of that, so I went before QHS, I went to a Chinese medicine doctor, and he had me bring all my supplements in, and then he would muscle test me on every single supplement. And he said, use this, don't use this, use this, don't use this. So we know how to muscle test on our own self. So I highly recommend that as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a
Okay.
good
Lori.
Mine was just a technical thing. I missed the whole first part, about 15, the cooking. So I wanted all the tips, and it's a replay, right? We do get okay. I've never.
Right.
Okay.
It'll be released Wednesday.
Okay. Thank you.
So you'll be able to hear everything in the tips. And then Jorgen has one more question.
One more question.
Comment there.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you keep bringing it up. It's so important to listen to yourself. We're all different. And everybody have right to their opinion, but never say never. And I can recommend Bruce Lipton regarding your genes. you have spoken a lot of, you can change everything. You are not bounded from your parents and so on. So.
Right.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you, Jorgen. And one last comment I want to make here, and here we go. Another last one is that please be cautious of criticizing or actually having I just had this situation with somebody because of their different eating habits or because of their different exercise habits or because somebody doesn't do a certain thing. I just had a big blowout with somebody about filtering the water. I will not drink water that isn't filtered. I have my big filtering system here. This person says, oh, the government wouldn't do that to us. It's the same thing as saying, you know,
Right.
I don't eat nightshades. Tracy doesn't eat certain things. It's not a subject to get angry about or disrespect somebody. You can agree to disagree. That's great for you. It isn't for me. So don't use negativity in that way because it affects that person and it affects you. And
Yeah.
that's not healthy. Everybody has a right to their own opinion. I will not touch a nightshade. That doesn't mean that Tracy shouldn't. Or that doesn't mean that Magda or Jorgen shouldn't. It depends on what your body is. So please be careful because there's a lot of conversation back and forth. Oh, I wouldn't do that. I think you should do this, even on our chatty chat. And I don't think that's healthy. That's my opinion. Okay. Any closing comments here?
It's Jill, and I just
Somebody
want to
else?
say I got my device last week.
Oh,
I
yeah.
went and
Oh,
drove 2 hours in the snow to get my bioscan done, and I did have supplements tested, and I went, they're gone. Some of them are really gone, and I actually had a toothache yesterday, and I put it up in my toothache. So I'm so excited to
gone.
be with you guys.
Awesome.
Okay, I want to
doing
mention
everything.
something though. Having been in dentistry, if you have a toothache, the pain might have gone away, but don't ignore it if it comes back because you might have calmed the pain down. But if you've got something going on in the root, it could be something serious later. So don't let it go, okay? See your dentist if it comes
Yes.
back or if you feel any sensitivity. Don't let it go.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you everybody. This has been
Thank
so much
you.
fun, and I think that we just get, now I like this. Let's make this a rule. When I say something, I'll say it, give you time to do it. Put your thumbs up when you're done. And if I'm going too fast, just go, you know, one finger up, slow down, or like that, slow down.
This means
Okay?
It's all
slow
about the
down in
sign language.
Slow.
Slow down.
It's slow. You guys can learn
Bon
that.
appetit, everybody.
Bon appetit, you
Everybody.
guys. Mwah. Thank
family.
you.
Thank
Thank
you. God
you.
bless.